All right, this is it. The address of the studio. Ding, ding, ding. Hi. Hi, I'm here with... Oh, hi.
Hey there.
Hi,
Good to see you again, Tyler.
Yeah, good to see you too. I'm here we're doing the recording today, right? You remembered everything?
Yeah. I'm ready. You know, I was ready last week too. But
I know, I'm so sorry. There was this whole issue with the vampire that Caitlin had, and we couldn't end up making it work. But I do have the wooden stake.
you don't have to make up excuses. I know Caitlin tends to be late.
Well, she does tend to be late. She's late again today, it seems. But she is, she was confronted with a vampire last week. That's fine. Anyway. I know you've been working with her. Can I put, the audio recording equipment down on this table here?
Please.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Just so I don't say anything too offensive, have we already started recording?
I have been running since I came in, just in
Okay.
case. I didn't want to miss anything good for the intro.
Okay, good. I'll be on my best behavior.
Okay, you don't think that, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, perfect. Well, anyway, sorry. Regardless of what happened last week, we're really excited to have you on this week. And because, Caitlin's been taking classes with you and, been doing some...
Yeah, she's in a whittling workshop 1.
Yes. It sounds like that's a wonderful post-grad, experience that she's enjoying and picking up new skills.
Yeah, it's I get a lot of post-grads, mostly post-grads and recent retirees.
So it's sort of...
on the weekends I do a kids camp, where I'll have some odd kids who, don't have the physical skills to be doing something like scouting or whatever. They'll kind of come just do
ones with asthma or, yeah, of course.
or like too many allergies.
Or like a limp.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of these, from your main kind of weekday workshops, it's people like sort of at like an inflection point in their life. It's like a moment of transition.
There's not many adults who can make the 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. time work.
Right.
Just because that's lunch for a lot of people.
It is lunch for a lot of people, yeah.
And also some people who work 9 to 5s, obviously the 11 to 2 would be part of their 9 to 5.
Yes, evidently.
It falls in that time zone. So, yeah, I get a lot of unemployed people, I would say.
Got it. I guess I was wondering because it's all right if I can call you Larry.
Oh, please.
Okay, Larry, it's just like I'm looking at sort of the pricing on the chalkboard on the wall over here, where you have kind of the pricing and the tier levels for each class, and these are sort of expensive. But you're marketing mostly to unemployed people.
Well, just because they're unemployed doesn't mean I have to be unemployed.
That's a great point, actually. I didn't think about it like that, but I don't know why I was... Yeah, I mean, it's not a charity here, right?
I mean, right, exactly. I'm teaching valuable lessons, and I'm giving these people something to do with their time.
And their wood.
And their wood. And, like, out here in California, it's always good for us to take wood off of the streets just because it's flammable, and we just want to make sure that we have... Right, we just want to make sure we have less kindling for the fires that tend to break out. So we just bring those wood pieces inside and just whittle them into small characters or other objects that are not necessarily less flammable per se, but they are in more interesting shapes.
Yes, I've noticed that you have a lot of the figurines that you've whittled lined up on the shelf over here. Can you walk me through some of these? Because I see that there's a repeating motif throughout a couple of them. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I like to do is I whittle every single one of my students that comes through this door.
Got it. Oh, and this one here is Caitlin.
Yeah. Yeah, there she is. Right. You'll notice I added a watch to her figurine.
Because she needs one. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Sometimes I do funny things like that. Because I think of my students as extended family. So I can josh with them a little bit. But what you're noticing in the repeating motif is actually my students who have been with me for a while and have worked their way all the way from workshop 1 to workshop 10, which is the most advanced level.
Yeah, wow, 10 workshops is substantial. So they've dedicated quite a bit of time.
Yeah. Well, if you want to become at the top of the whittling game, it's a competitive business, obviously.
I'm sure.
And there aren't many of us out on the West Coast.
Which is surprising because of how we need to be dealing with firewood out here.
Right, exactly. It tends to be a bit more common up in the Appalachian Mountains. Just because they have more of a storied tradition of whittling and pioneering and going up and down the mountains. Out here we have a more new age vibe, where people are busy with the beach and taking their selfies. And
do people ever whittle driftwood, can I ask? From the beach?
Some people do, though I tell them that it is a waste of our time and against the practice we are trying to uphold within this whittling studio, just because, again, part of the California of it all is that we're, taking wood off of the streets, and wet wood in the ocean is not very
It's not flammable. Right, obviously. Okay,
but
got it. I'm learning.
Sometimes if anyone has had like a loved one lost at sea, I'll tell them if picking up a piece of wet driftwood and carving it into a small figurine of that person who has been lost at sea and then throwing it back into the ocean, if that makes them feel better, then I'm all for it.
As a sort of talisman or something. But that what comes from the sea returns to the sea.
Right, like a message in a bottle.
Whereas what comes from the forest or like the Appalachian Mountains, like must, of course, like there's nowhere for it necessarily to return to, because I guess like if you're in the Appalachian Mountains, like you're gonna be there anyway still with your figurines, and if the wood's coming off the street, like in Los Angeles here, like you wouldn't return it to the street necessarily, because at the end of the day, like we all are on the street, like moving and communicating and speaking to one another,
right?
Like in a metaphysical way.
Definitely, and the kind of alchemy that's alive in the air, and what's mine is yours, and mi casa is tu casa, and the principles.
Right,
of all
that's
that
famous Spanish saying.
Yes,
and that goes into the history of Los Angeles, formerly part of Mexico.
Right, Los Angeles.
Right.
And so it kind of all fits in, whereas obviously in Appalachia, they have their own storied traditions,
of course.
In the woods, and obviously they have monsters and ghosts and ghouls, that live there, and so when they make tokens to them, you have to make sure that they stay within the woods of the Appalachian Mountains, just to make sure that those spirits, don't come after them. But of course here in LA, where we have less spirits, ghouls, and goblins, though it seems maybe there was a vampire recently.
Yes, there was.
We're just making sure that the wood is getting off the streets into our homes, into figurine shapes, and just making sure that we don't burn down this beautiful state.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And so are you from California originally, or is this kind of a sort of practice that you've adopted with moving to a different location?
Right. So I did grow up in the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay, you are from... Got it.
Yes. I had a spooky encounter during a whittling time in my life when I was 19 years old, and I thought to myself, I have to move on from these woods. I need to find other wood to whittle, and so I came out to Los Angeles to just see about the wood production here and learn about a new whittling culture. But of course, when I showed up here, I found that there is not a whittling culture.
One, yeah.
There's mostly a movie culture, and a celebrity culture, and a culture of surfing, and a culture of
taking selfies,
food to go, and taking selfies, and lining up outside of walls that are painted pink to take pictures and post on Instagram. And I learned that there was a culture of yummy brunch spots, and telling people about where those yummy brunch spots are via social media. And I learned that there was a juice cleanse culture and a smoothie culture, and that there are such things as non-sugar sweeteners such as agave and stevia extract. And so all of that was new cultures for me, coming from the Appalachian mountain culture, and I realized that there really was not a whittling culture, and so I took it upon myself to bring whittling here to the Los Angeles area.
That's amazing. That's very inspiring, I think, to be able to acknowledge like a cultural lack and then to fill it. That was something that I think Caitlin and I were really trying to do with this podcast, was that we noticed there wasn't enough just conversation happening on the internet, where there were just kind of people talking, and that at the end of the day, like, people talking is sort of the root of, honestly, like, society, like civilization, I would say. Like, I think it's a very civilized thing to have a conversation.
Right.
And, like, not enough people are just, like, having conversations. And certainly not enough people are recording those conversations. So that they can be disseminated on the internet. And so,
because what I've noticed in LA is a lot of the culture has a visual component as well. So
because of the
when
movies.
Caitlin explained to me what you two do, I found it very interesting that it was auditory only.
Right.
And that seemed like you were filling a niche that hasn't been filled yet.
We call it like sonic portraits sometimes. It's like we're sort of like painting that, like a sonic mural almost of I think like broader of the world. I think the project of my closest friends as a whole is like that is a mural, and then what we're doing to kind of put together the like patchwork quilt of this mural, not to sort of mix metaphors here, is
no, those are both art forms, so
exactly,
that's just one metaphor.
Perfect. And so it's like we're doing portraits of individuals, and that's filling the patchwork quilt of the mural. In a sense, those pieces make up a mosaic, and it is music because it is sonic. And I guess, like, I'm noticing that, you have a lot of portraiture in your whittling here, as in, carving all of your students. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention for our radio audience that above me, the ceiling is ornately carved as well.
Yes.
Could you walk me through kind of what I'm looking at here?
Absolutely. So when I moved out to this log cabin, I thought to myself, well, what is a log cabin if not the raw materials for whittling?
Exactly.
And I was most inspired by my time abroad in the 16 Chapel.
The The Sistine Chapel?
The Sistine Chapel in Europe.
Right, got it. Continue.
They have, so I don't know if it sounds like you haven't been there before, but in the Sistine Chapel, they have very ornate murals, actually, like you were saying, and they call them, I think they call them fresnos, when you have kind of something big on the wall. And so in this dome of the Sistine Chapel, they have this beautiful fresno of God and of angels and just things that that fit the vibe of a chapel. Really, what it comes down to at the end of the day. And so when I moved out to my log cabin, I thought, I should create my own sort of fresno out of these whittling materials. But of course, this is a log cabin and it's not a chapel, so I wanted to kind of dedicate the whittling space to log cabin-esque things, which is why you'll see, like, a log is one of the things I whittled.
Totally noticed that.
And then you'll see I've whittled a miniature of the log cabin, so to compare those, you'd kind of have to step outside and see what it looks like on the outside to come back inside and see it.
Yeah, no, totally. I remember, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll kind of notice there's like an axe up there because I chop wood for my practice. And then also there's in the corner over there, in kind of that darker corner of my past, you'll see a dedication to the Appalachian Mountains and the culture that I hail from. And so there you'll see the ghosts and the goblins and the spirits that taught me both how to whittle and also how to be scared of the outside.
That's amazing. Just looking at the way that you're speaking about, just kind of looking at listening at how you're speaking about the way in which like form and function interact here, where it's like the form of the whittling is of course the function of the building here as a place to whittle.
Right, exactly. So it's a dedication to the craft that I practice within the log cabin.
Right, of course. And it's almost like I imagine it sort of references the one could call it the pragmatic origins of whittling, which is of course being in the woods and needing, I can imagine, a sort of sharp object with which you can hunt game.
Right, exactly. And actually, I mean, I'm glad Caitlin isn't here because she's obviously heard this. This is the speech I give at the beginning of every single class.
Right.
So I'll give you a brief summary of it. It's usually about a 30-minute lecture. I like to really drill into my students, especially in workshop 1. But yeah, so the history of whittling was people were bored, right, waiting to catch animals, and so they had spears and other sharp tools. If you'll remember, the cavemen both discovered fire and also made tools, which is why we think of humans as being so developed.
Right.
But animals, such as monkeys, also do make some sharp objects for hunting. But when the hunters were waiting with their sharp spears, waiting in a grove or behind a bush, waiting for, let's say, an antelope to come by, they would get bored waiting for the antelope, and they had lots of raw whittling material. At that time, of course, it was just called wood, and they had these sharp objects such as spears, and they just kind of started making the things that they were seeing in their surroundings, whether that be their fellow hunters or whether that be their wife gatherers that were back home. or of course maybe even an animal like the antelope, or sometimes the ghost ghouls and spirits that they saw within the mountains, if the cavemen were, let's say, in the Appalachian Mountains, for example. So that's kind of the brief summary of the history of whittling. Of course, I could go on, but I won't, for your sake. But that kind of, I think, gives context and contextualizes and solidifies where this tradition comes from.
Right, that definitely contextualizes, solidifies, and crystallizes what I was thinking, which was previously more abstract and now I think has kind of sublimated. I'm wondering if I guess I'm wondering like, how do you see your personal development tied to your art, your practice of art? Do you feel like you can look at your oeuvre of sorts and see kind of how you've changed as a whittler over time, and where kind of do you hope to go with whittling?
Absolutely. I mean, up in my attic, I have everything I've ever whittled since I was just a little boy. And
just above the Fresno.
Yes, just above. There's if you see there's a rope you pull that down. A little step ladder kind of comes down, and then you can kind of get up there. But that's where I keep all of my whittles, and what it really is a testament to how I've grown and how the figurines have gotten more detailed over time. And I guess to answer your question, for the future especially, the goal one day is to have a permanent collection in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is located in New York City. And that's really just a goal that I feel is both necessary for the whittling community, as well as for my own personal wants.
And is there, I haven't been to the Met in some time, is there a substantial whittling collection there?
No, and I think that's the atrocity of it all, is that's what it's missing. And I think, if we're going to call the Met, one of the greatest collections of artwork in the world, then we should include all art forms. And I do think that there is a gap right now where we are missing out on the whittling art form.
Right, for sure. That's so interesting. And I guess, like, the act of, in many ways, like, you are working on sort of this cultural expansion of whittling from its simple roots, amongst cavemen to then, the practice in which it's used in Appalachia to now Los Angeles, and then ideally sort of back across the coast to New York, right? There must be a sort of a beautiful sense of purpose in that, right? In knowing that you are doing the work of keeping this tradition alive. And in fact, not just keeping it alive, but in growing it, in incubating it, and guiding its development into toward new horizons.
Right, exactly, and that's what I'm a prolific whittler, but I found that at a certain point it's better to start spreading the seed of whittling to others, and so I set out to spread my seed by starting my workshop series out here. And so now I'm actually crafting the future generations of whittlers.
You're sort of whittling them into form.
Exactly. I'm whittling them into whittlers, and teaching them how to whittle as well. And I think
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like whittling as a practice of spreading your seed. It's sort of like whittle, 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 and the seed just spreads.
Right, exactly. If you just, whittle with enough vigor and, with just with passion, and as long as, you're really, like, putting the work in, you will... Yeah.
You can't help but have the seed
finish
spread.
In a... Exactly. Like, there will be you'll finish, and there will be a completed project, and it's almost like a new baby is born, right, with every figurine.
It is like conception.
Right, exactly. And I will say, I think that's why the demographic works so well, is I'm getting people at these, like, real critical times in their life where they have a lot of free time. And so, especially with my older folks, those recent retirees, they have so much time on their hands that they're really, they also become prolific at whittling. Whereas...
And again, it's like boredom led to whittling. Like, you can't help but whittle when bored.
Exactly. It's really steeped in the culture of whittling. But with your friend Caitlin and others in her position in their postgrad years, they not only can become prolific with all of their time, but they can also become very proficient. And I think what's important about that is that we then have people who are able to move forward with this practice and just keep it up and keep it going. And so there's just a lot more people out there now whittling. If you can get them young, they'll be able to commit forever.
Right. And so this the goal is to have a successor, perchance, to sort of take up the mantle of West Coast whittler.
Right, because, well, at some point, hopefully, when I'm setting up at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I would have to move to New York
right
at that time. And so, yes, I'd want someone to, be able to keep up the practice here. But also, even more importantly than that, unlike the goblins, ghosts, and spirits of the Appalachian Mountains, I, of course, am mortal and will one day die.
Sad to think about. But there is something beautiful about knowing that, one day we will all return to the earth. And from the earth is where trees do come. And so at some point it's we all are just kind of a part of a cycle, the sort of like great circle of life. Really beautiful to think about, just thinking out loud right now, really.
Right, no, absolutely. I think it's really beautiful, and it's already in my will for my cremation to just go ahead and fertilize some trees so that there's more wood on the streets for the future generations to consider continue whittling.
To fertilize the street wood.
Yeah.
Well, we're still waiting for Caitlin. She's taking time as usual. But
I know, and it's been 30 minutes? That's usually when she waltzes into the whittling class. I think she's a little bit over the 30-minute speech on the history of whittling that I give at the beginning of each class. And I've
she
talked
doesn't
to her about it before, and but she says that it's the same speech, and so she feels like she's already kind of retained the information on it.
She's a quick learner, so yeah.
Well, whether that is the case or not, it will impede her whittling development, but that's not for me to push onto her. She would need to, take that upon herself if she really.
It needs to come from within.
About this practice, exactly.
Well, I guess as we continue to wait for her, maybe you could show me, like how I could potentially start whittling. I don't know. I honestly am really taken by what you've spoken to me about today, and working this act of working with one's hands and with the sort of raw materials of the earth, and sort of using your hands to sort of whittle to a point of completion, I think is so appealing to me, especially as I sort of look toward post-grad life eventually.
Absolutely. I sometimes refer to the post-grad time in people's life as their whittling years.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Caitlin probably won't be here for another, I'd say 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say that too, probably.
So I would happily give you a quick shortened version of a whittling class if you would like that.
I would love that.
And that always starts with, first we have to identify what we're whittling, and why we're whittling that today. So I'm just going to walk you through the 5-step questions that I like to ask my students before they start whittling a piece.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
So the first question is just, how are you feeling today, emotionally?
I think I'm feeling pretty content. Yeah,
so we're gonna
I think
make a happy whittle.
Got it for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna go with a happy whittle. Let's just keep that in mind. And then the next question is just, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most hungry, how hungry are you right now?
Ooh, well, because your studio is open during lunch hours, I'm pretty hungry. I would say I'm like at a 9.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna make a we're gonna really chew on what we're working on, right? We're gonna allow the whittle to be our food that satiates that hunger, right? Okay,
Right.
Because I actually find, the reason I host my workshops usually during this 11 to 2 p.m. time zone is actually that when you're hungry, you whittle with more ferocity.
Right.
And
that makes a lot of sense.
And yeah, it's a little too leisurely, and without direction when people try to whittle on a full stomach. So that's great. My third question is, do you have any pets?
I do. I have 2 dogs and a cat, and I have a fish tank.
Okay. Wonderful. Are we thinking of whittling any of those figurines today?
I would love to whittle maybe one of my dogs, maybe Biscuit, because he has flowing hair.
Great. So once we acknowledge what we want to whittle, we're going to try to move away from that, right? So that's kind of an important part of this process, is identifying what we find easy to whittle and then getting out of our comfort zone.
So Biscuit's off the table.
Yeah, we will not be whittling Biscuit, honestly.
Got it. Okay.
Wonderful. And then just the fourth question I like to ask is, are you feeling comfortable with me today?
Yeah, definitely. It's been nice getting to know you. I think we've become sort of like, I would say, close friends during this time. Maybe my closest whittling friend. So if I'm going to whittle with anybody, like, I would like to whittle with you, or at least like have you watch as I whittle, for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, I love watching others whittle themselves, especially for the first time. I just find it to be a really, it's always fun to watch someone.
It's a joy.
Something new. It's a joy, exactly. And just the relief on people's faces when they do complete their first project. It just always.
I'm sure you never forget your first time, so I'm excited for that.
You really can't. Good. So if you're feeling good with me today, then I will continue to teach this lesson. Sometimes I have students tell me that they're not feeling comfortable with me today, and at that point I dismiss them from the class for the day.
Right.
Right. So then our final step is, are you feeling comfortable with the wood today?
Okay. This is something that I was sort of dancing around, I think, because I was sort of
hoping...
And I
noticed that, which is... Sometimes I switch up the order of the questions, just to make sure we're building to the climax. And this felt like the climax of the emotional point of what we were getting to. Right,
because whittling is a narrative at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, here we are. We've climaxed, I guess. I think that for whatever reason, the wood isn't presenting itself to me as welcoming. And
are you scared of potential splinters?
Yes. I guess
that's sort of emotional splinters, it seems, is kind of what I'm diagnosing in you.
It is, it's just, yeah, I think, in middle school I had a woodworking class, and...
Right, a lot of trauma stems from this.
And I do remember I was tasked with carving a small handheld propeller out of wood, such that, you had the propeller, it was on a stick underneath, and then you could kind of roll it between your hands, and the propeller would shoot out and sort of spin and float to the ground.
This is one of my biggest issues with the American education system surrounding whittling, is that it really tends to throw people in the deep end in a way that makes them scared of the wood for future
yes, of course.
practices.
Because unfortunately what did end up happening was that instead of shooting my hands outward as such, I accidentally shot the propeller inward at me, and it hit me in the face at a sort of a high velocity. And I just think having that sort of facial trauma related to whittling, I think when you whittle and it gets in your face, it's just like it ends up being deeply unpleasant. And I don't want to... I didn't want to burden you with this, especially because obviously you have such positive associations with whittling. But I think, after I whittled that time, even though maybe it wasn't full whittling because it was woodworking, which I guess is more industrialized, it was sort of machine-based.
It's just on a bigger scale.
It's on a bigger scale. I think it was... I think I had a sort of... I guess a post whittling clarity afterward when I realized that wasn't maybe practice that was suitable to me, and that maybe it wasn't aligned sort of spiritually or physically with what my needs were at the time.
Got it. So you found that wood was too rigid and hard of a shape.
It was too rigid and hard, and presented danger.
And you were right, and so you wanted to look for a material that was maybe more supple and more inviting.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I tried ceramics, but eventually that does become hard, and so that was a sort of sad turn of events for me.
Yes, of course. Well, it's in it's a common misconception that we can't get over our past traumas with whittling.
Right.
And so what I like to do a lot of the times is still encourage people to start in workshop one and just see how they adapt to a new experience with whittling. But also in my kind of expert and professional culture of whittling, I'm able to also sometimes really diagnose people and give them helpful other strategies that they can use if they can't, get into whittling for whatever the reason may be, such as a facial trauma. And so what I would actually recommend for you, if you're okay with me telling you something, but I think what you might really get into is actually slime. And it's very simple. You really just need borax and glue and like laundry detergent or shaving cream or something like that. So it's a lot of household products that you have already lying
It's
around.
Recycling.
Right, exactly. And so maybe that's more up your alley if you're not as into kind of the masculine rigidness. You may enjoy a more whimsical material to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, that's to go from whittling to slime, to whittle into slime. It's sort of a beautiful trajectory, I think. That's really
right. And I think most people don't understand that if you whittle enough, it will end in slime every once in a while.
And I am that once in a while, because I did realize that there was nothing for me at the end of whittling, but slime.
Right.
So that's really okay. Yeah, I guess.
That's just my professional recommendation.
No, and I really appreciate that, actually. I guess the only question that's left is there like a slime workshop anywhere that you recommend, or is this sort of more choose your own adventure?
Right. So the kind of helpful thing about slime is there are actually a lot of YouTube tutorials, and actually, interesting enough, there's a lot of slime prodigies. So if you go on YouTube
young
and
people
type in how to make slime, you'll get a lot of videos of people, I would say, between the ages of 3rd grade and 6th grade. And they're really good at teaching those skills. It really is a young man's or a young person's game. But yeah, really my recommendation is to, use the resources that they have online. Whereas obviously whittling is much more about being in community with others and showing up to one sacred space to work on the whittling project together. Slime is a little bit more of just a blob of material.
Got it. Well, thank you. That's amazing. That's great. That's really helpful.
It seems like Caitlin might be here. Someone's knocking.
Do you want to open it?
I'll just open the door. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Did you get the, hey Tyler, did you get the whole,
Hi.
the whole history spiel?
Yes. It was actually really fascinating. I'm really taken by the whole practice. But I did, we came to the conclusion, that this is not for me, and that honestly this isn't a space for me. Yeah. So I think I don't want to record the episode.
Yeah, he actually answered the question well, of if he's feeling comfortable with the wood today, and we were able to kind of unpack that he's never feeling comfortable with the wood. The wood just isn't for him. Wow. Okay, yeah. I guess I've always been like chill with the wood.
Yeah, you're comfortable with wood.
I was like, I'm comfortable with it. Yeah. But that's cool. It's like yeah. That makes sense.
Different strokes for different folks. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. That's what I like to say, because whittling does require
stroking.
Yeah. Okay. So Tyler, are you just not feeling should we get out of the whittling cabin? Would that make you feel more
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, we did record a lot of content today.
Right. I made sure to not say anything offensive.
Right, yes, and you did a great job. So, I think... Yeah, I think maybe this was it.
See him in workshop 1.
I'm sure. I could feel him biting his tongue a little bit.
Right.
So maybe we called it for the week, and
okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm so sorry I missed it again, Larry. I feel like we're like you know, you were here last week with Tyler, you're back with Tyler again. I'm just like, I'm always the missing link, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys got to talk, and I'm excited to hear what you guys talked about.
Yes. Yeah. And I guess, are you sticking around for workshop, or?
Yeah, because it's like my class starts in like 10 minutes, so.
Okay, so then I'll head. All right, cool.
Or actually, I mean, like the stuff I care about starts in 40 minutes, because he does the speech, you know, for 30 minutes. So if you want to go get food or something, I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, do you want to go like get takeout and maybe take some selfies and pose in front of a painted wall and go surfing and...
Ooh. Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Larry. I think I'm gonna be absent today. Okay.
All right. Bye, Larry. It was great meeting you. Good luck with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see. I'm sure Caitlin will show me what she whittles. She always does. So, all right. Let's. All right. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Bye, guys.